20, pursue justice and justice alone so that you may live. See, it's all about living instead of dying. All right, you want to live or you want to die? Follow his instructions. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about your God-given rights. The reason I'm doing this is because I saw a post on a comment somewhere where somebody said, we have God-given rights and the Constitution is just a tool to take those rights away, blah, 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 something like that. So it got me thinking. And then I realized I don't think God gives you any rights. He gives you free will and some instructions. The Torah. Don't steal, don't kill, do, honor your mother and father. So it's a whole series of do's and don'ts, right? They're not really inalienable rights. Now, our Constitution was founded by Thomas Jefferson, who was influenced by another guy named John Locke. And I heard these words thrown around, inalienable rights or unalienable rights. And when I looked up the word inalienable, it says a term that means not capable of being taken away or denied, as well as not transferable to any other. Now, so it can't be taken away, but I Googled Japanese Americans 1943, just like George Carlin told me to, and sure enough, their rights were not inalienable. They could be taken away. Why? Because of fear. People were afraid. Just like today, every time somebody's afraid, your rights just kind of magically disappear. So you don't really have any rights. You have instructions, and instructions only work if you follow them. Now, as you know, our Constitution does grant us rights. But again, it's not like they're a force field, and if somebody tries to take them away, they get zapped by electricity or something. No, it's an instruction manual. It's a mission statement, and it's given to us, and it only works if we exercise it. Okay? If we establish a system of courts and laws, just like the Torah says, and then if we don't take bribes, then we act honestly. Okay? And that goes for us and the people we elect. Okay, and then later on the Supreme Court, acting in our best interest, said, no, that's not just, that's not righteous, that's not fair, that's not honest. Okay, so what if you're afraid? Nobody said that just because we had a constitution, we followed it, that bad things weren't going to happen to us. It doesn't mean we should stop acting justly and righteously. Now, part of the problem, as I've seen, and I've heard this from Christians themselves, they are not encouraged to read too closely the books of, like, Exodus and Leviticus, Deuteronomy, that sort of thing. But they don't really read it too closely. And that's part of the problem, because that's where the heart and the meat and the soul of the Bible is in the Torah. And some of the most important laws, commandments, instructions are right there in Leviticus. Let's take a look at some of them. First, let's go back to Exodus chapter 20, God's appearing at Mount Sinai, greatest miracle in the Bible. And then he gives the 10 Commandments. And he gives a whole bunch of commandments after that. Let's look at Exodus chapter 23, verse 1. It says, you shall not spread a false report. Do not join the wicked by being a malicious witness. So be honest. Okay. Verse 2, don't follow the crowd in wrongdoing. When you testify, don't pervert justice by siding with popularity, with the crowd. Don't show favoritism to a poor man in his lawsuit. Verse 6 says, you shall not deny justice to the poor in their lawsuits. Stay far away from a false accusation. Don't kill the innocent or the just. I will not acquit the guilty. Now, this is right before he goes up to the mountain for 40 days and comes down and breaks the 10 Commandments because they're all running around with the golden calf. And Moses can't pay for their sins. Why? Because it's not just. That's what the Bible is about, justice. Okay, justice you shall pursue. Leviticus 19:11. Don't steal, don't deceive or lie to one another. Do not pervert justice or show partiality to the poor, or favoritism to the rich. Judge your neighbor fairly. What if you don't like your neighbor? What if your neighbor's an idiot and you can't stand him? Or what if he doesn't like you for some reason? So don't seek revenge or bear a grudge against any of your people. And here's what is one of the biggest universal laws in all religions. Verse 18 in Leviticus chapter 19 says, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against any of your people, but love your neighbor as you love yourself. So basically what we're learning in Leviticus is to be fair and honest and just. And so unlike the Torah, which is perfect, our Constitution was flawed, and that's why God gives us the free will to make mistakes. Okay, being the word mistake in Hebrew is what we translate as sin, het. It means to set out to do good and kind of miss the mark a little bit. You kind of screwed up. You learn from your mistakes, you do better. Okay, it's not a deliberate transgression against God. So the Constitution wasn't perfect either, was it? We still had slavery. Women still couldn't vote. All right, so we learned that we did these themselves. God made the cake, and then he says, here, I'll let you guys put the frosting on it. The other point I want to make here is that a lot of people say, oh, the Constitution of the United States was founded on biblical principles. It was, but we don't mention the word God anywhere in the Constitution. Why? Because, well, there's some people that might not believe in God. Oh, well, that's just terrible. Grab them, burn them at the stake, right? No, that's not what the Bible's saying, and that's not what our Constitution says either. So my advice to you is before you start reading Matthew and Paul, I encourage you to read the Torah first and then see if it matches up. Okay, don't go borrowing a donkey without asking. That's called stealing, all right? Christians say, well, there's a new covenant now, and if you believe in Jesus and love God with all your heart, those are the only two laws that stand above everything else, and that's what the law is all about. No, I think it's a little bit more than that. It requires a little bit more study and a little bit more intellectual and spiritual pursuits than just saying, well, just love God and love Jesus and everything else will fall into place. No, you got to have a system of laws, instructions,